Hello and welcome to a special alfresco episode of It'll Be Alright in the 90s, coming live from the Three Crowns pub in the People's Republic of Chippenham.
It's live.
It's our summer party.
Hey!
I'm your host Alex Greenwood, and sat next to me for the first time ever for a podcast record is Stu Joslin. Stu, you finally got us down your local for a podcast record. How does that feel?
Yeah, no, unbelievable. Many thanks to the Three Crowns for allowing us to record tonight. It's brilliant to be sat around the table with everybody. And I hope we get a good episode.
Yeah,
definitely.
More on that, everybody, shortly. We did try and get a booking for one of the last remaining Charlie Chalk Brewers Fairs.
Yes, we did.
But unfortunately, they were booked up until October, so we couldn't get a slot there. Also, the train up to Aberdeen would have been somewhat of an expense that we can't really afford.
Well, it might have taken you about as long as it did to get here.
Yeah, that's true. I should say I've had some train difficulties in getting here, listeners, thanks to the now privatised GWR railway. Wouldn't have happened in the 90s under National Rail, as we all know.
Quite right.
We've got a 125's Intercity Sprinter would have been here before schedule, probably. Before I go any further, I should say that in celebration of our summer party, our episode sponsor is Super Soaker. So you can liven up your summer barbecues and trips to the beach with this exciting discount. So this offer is in conjunction with Woolworths. So if you go into your local branch of Woolworths, there's one just down the road here from the Three Crowns, I know. Go into Woolworths, quote the code AllRight90s, and you can get 10% off their entire range. So that's anything from the 10 model all the way up to the top of the range, 200. So you won't have to splash the cash to splash your friends this summer, courtesy of Super Soaker and Woolworths. So thank you very much to those two.
That's brilliant. I mean, the hot weather's here to stay for a couple of weeks. So,
yeah.
So what better opportunity to take advantage of that offer and get some Super Soaker in your life. Definitely.
Yeah,
another great
absolutely.
offer from All Right 90s. All Right in the 90s. Cut that out.
Nothing's getting cut out. This is all. This is live.
Now.
There's going to be
Live,
more beer.
all.
There's going to be more beer involved than usual as well.
Yeah.
So
That's
it could
true.
be a problem. Who knows?
We'll see. At this point, I should say that it isn't just me and Stu here. We're also joined by a couple of pod stalwarts. Dad of the pod, Glyn Joslin, and our resident pop expert, Joe Barter, are
Hello.
also sat across from us. How are you both?
Hello there. Yeah,
Really
good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks for coming in, chaps. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Thanks a lot.
Are we still the most frequent podcast guests ever?
Well, I
We
think.
definitely are now.
So this is your third appearance,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah,
So
that's
and this is your second.
Yeah.
Glyn. So
Give me a second.
I think you're definitely the. You're now tied with Will
All right.
with 2 appearances,
Okay.
and I think Joe's out on his own, apart from us, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're up to 31, I think now.
31,
30, this is
32,
30,
something like
that. So congratulations to Joe Barter there, the current title holder for most appearances. We did, of course, invite our manager and lawyer Jeff to come as well, but he's currently on a 2-week getaway into Skegness, so he can't make it. But we're effectively off the leash.
I mean, a holiday's a
It's about-
holiday, isn't it? We didn't want to call him back from that, but
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
while the lawyer's away and all that.
Stu, do you want to tell the listeners what we've got planned today?
Yeah, certainly. So the first half of the episode, we are going to quiz Joe and Glyn on their highlights of the 90s. You might recognise the questions from the interviews we've done with people like Will and John Amor. So these are the questions that we normally ask them. We'd like to get Joe and Glyn's take on those. And then in the second half of the episode, we have a classic 90s board game from my childhood, which I picked up on eBay for about £6 a few weeks ago, and I thought it's perfect for a live playthrough on the pod. Questions accurate up to and including the 1st of January 1996.
Oh, great.
So we're going to give that a go and see what happens. But yeah, hopefully it will be a bit of a change from the normal episodes, and we'll have a bit of fun.
Yeah, sounds good. Shall we get straight into it then? I don't think we don't have any correspondence to read out this week, and we're not going to be doing what's the most 90s just because it's a summer party. We're keeping things a bit different, and we'll save them for next time.
Yeah,
so,
we're free and easy.
Yeah,
We're free and easy.
as we said before, we're off the leash, so anything goes. Shall we start with the questionnaires for our two two guests.
Why not? Let's see what their 90s credentials are.
Okay, let's start with Glyn, and so
You've been begging me for another appearance on this podcast, and now you're shrinking in the spotlight.
Yeah, so Glyn, I think I might know the answer to this actually because we talked about this in our Cars of the 90s episode.
Yeah, it's come up on a few occasions, I think.
Yeah, so I've got
this particular thing, but
I've got some ideas what it might be, but what was your favourite car of the 90s?
Of the 90s? I think, well, as you say, you already know my answer. It would be my Vauxhall Cavalier 4x4, permanent 4x4, 2 litre beast. It was a wonderful car. I'm so ashamed I got rid of it. It was coming up to 100,000 miles. Why I thought I had to get rid of it, because 100,000 miles, because now, you go and buy a car for £6,000. It's over 100,000 miles now on the clock. So, but it was my all-time favourite car I've ever had. Even now, well, I got the Alfa Romeo now. But that remains my favourite car, I must admit.
Well, it's my favourite of the ones you had in the decade as well. I mean, I think you only had 3, so you had the Fiesta before that, the Popular Plus.
And then I had Mondeo. Was that after?
And that was...
I remember the Mondeo.
Yeah.
Was that the 90s Mondeo?
No, that would have been 2000, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
2001.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is
So
like
much about
fornication.
Yeah.
Hey, we moved on from that. We moved on. Come on.
Sorry to bring that up.
I've spent the last 10
Minute 5.
episodes repairing my reputation, and you have to bring it up again.
Did I have the Escort before the Fiesta?
Yes, yeah.
The red Escort.
Yeah.
I had the yellow Escort as well before that. So, yeah.
Nice. What generation were the Escorts?
Well, a Mark 1 and a Mark 2.
Oh, nice.
Both.
So you'll remember the Mark II Escort from the Northwest Wiltshire Welcome escapade.
Oh, yeah, the head-on Game of Chicken, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Going down the hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't remember, I mentioned this before, but my yellow Escort had this thing where when it got hot, then you stopped. It wouldn't start again until it cooled right down. So if you went somewhere, you had to wait at least a couple of hours before you could go home, type of thing. For some, I don't know what, I never found out. I took it to the garage, they couldn't find out what it was, So I lived with that for a few years, but it was still a good little car though, apart from that.
I had quite a few cars that did that. So.
Well, I mean, if we can ask the same question of you, Joe, I mean, we grew up together, so I've got a lot of experience of your dad's cars. I know your dad's a petrol head, Steve.
Yeah, Steve is. Shout out to Steve. Interesting that Glyn mentions Alfa Romeos as well, because my dad's had many, and I thought he was the only person that ever owned an Alfa Romeo, so it's nice to know there's another Alfa owner out there. But I've actually defected from the Italians. My car choice is, I don't know if you know this, a Mazda MX-5. Ooh. The original with the pop-up headlights.
Oh, the best one.
So the best one. They've never bettered that design. Two of my uncles, my dad's brothers, had them. I think my dad at the time didn't like them. Didn't like any Japanese cars. Don't know why. But yeah, I definitely remember my uncles having them. One had a British Racing green one that was amazing. One had a red one. The original 1.6, I think, was it like detuned? So it was like 1.6, but like crazy powerful. And then the later ones were 1.8. And then I ended up having one. I bought one for £350 from someone my dad worked with, probably 10 or so years ago now. And that's the best car I ever had, especially for the money, for £350.
I think we went to see someone in that. You and I think we went to.
I possibly took you. I was going to say I don't know if we hung out much around the time I had that, but possibly.
I remember definitely being in the MX-5 for sure.
It was immaculate,
for sure.
and hadn't done that many miles, considering it was from like '98 or something.
For £350.
£350, yeah.
That's a deal of a lifetime.
Yeah, it was amazing. It did me for maybe 18 months, 2 years. Someone went in the back of it and wrote it off sadly, which was absolutely heartbreaking because I possibly still have it today, just as like a, it's always good to have a convertible, especially weather like this, where probably the hottest day of the year, do you reckon?
So far, yeah. We've had a few of these, haven't we?
As we're recording.
Robbie Bryan's favourite car got written off, and John Amor's favourite car ended up in his friend's garden, just rusting out.
Yeah.
So these things tend to happen like this. I don't know.
It's sad.
So yeah, I'd probably say that's my favourite car of the 90s, and flashing someone was amazing, with the headlights obviously, because they would pop up, flash, and then pop back down again. Yeah, amazing motion, and yeah, it's the best gearbox you'll ever use. I don't know if that's a weird thing to say. Everything, because you're really low down, everything's just really in the right place in that car. Like, you sort of sat really far back, you got the, I don't know, like where the gear stick is and the handbrake. It's like the best car to drive. I would recommend anyone pick one up and drive one in if you can get one.
Can I just make an honourable mention for your purple Cinquecento Sporting?
Oh yeah, that was my first car. Yeah, I think you'll find it was cool. Oh no, I was going to tell the colour, but I can't remember what it is. It was like blue with orange like piping, wasn't it?
That's right. Sorry, not purple at all.
But I can't remember what the name of the colour was. Maybe we should look that up.
We should.
In a break or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've spoken for far too long about cars. I don't even know that much about cars.
Let's move on to another area then.
Can I just butt in there?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, talking about motoring. Was it the 90s when we went to Santa Pod?
No, I think that was early 2000s.
Oh, was it? Right, okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't quite sure. I know I had the, I had the Cavalier, I think,
Yeah.
when we went up there. Because Joe came as well.
That's
didn't
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Santa.
Yeah. No, we went to. You won't know this, Alex. We went to Santa Pod Raceway for the Performance Vauxhall show. Because I used to get a magazine called Total Vauxhall at the time because I was well into tuned Vauxhalls, and you could get it from W.H. Smith in Chippenham. So
as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, and I somehow managed to convince you that we should go to this.
And your mum as
well.
That's
we should go to this
Your mum
raceway
would be
in Bedfordshire. It's like miles away. But it was a good old day.
It was a good day, yeah. It was a good day.
Enjoyed it a lot.
It was good because you had the, I know we're not talking about 90s, but it wasn't just, they had dragsters, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right.
But also people could race each other in their cars on the raceway as well.
Yeah.
It was really, really good, yeah. Anyway, I
Were
digress.
you tempted? Were you tempted to take
take
the Cavaliers?
No, I would probably drag a clutch out too much. It's burning rubber.
So let's make a swerve into albums then. And we have had requests from a few guests to tighten this question up. Because we have said before album or musical act, but I think maybe we should just tighten it up to album.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair?
Yeah,
from
I
now
think
on?
so.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go Joe first.
Oh, man.
And I would imagine that even though we've tightened the question up, this will still be a very difficult
Absolutely.
thing for
I've
you.
not actually written a proper answer. I thought about the Immaculate Collection by Madonna a lot, but most of those songs came out in the 80s. That's sort of the best of. And if you ask me what the best album is, and I say a compilation, I should fall on my own sword for that sort of thing.
I think it's clever.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of, I don't know, like the most 90s, but like one of my most formative memories, we possibly talked about this on the Top of the Pops episode, was seeing the Prodigy Firestarter video.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
But I feel like it's almost like a sort of, what's the phrase? Like the Mandela effect. I feel like everyone says, I loved the Prodigy video when I was a kid. My mum hated it because I definitely had that, but I'm wondering if that's just because like everyone else in the world has said that. And that album, like The Fat of the Land, I don't know. I just feel like that was everywhere at the time, even though I'm not really old enough to appreciate the Prodigy at the time. I definitely do now, especially those early singles. Having been watching the Top
Of course.
repeats.
Yeah.
So possibly that. My most listened to act probably ever. And one I remember from the time, even though I wasn't really a fan at the time, is the Pet Shop Boys. I went to see them a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham, which was great. They're a greatest hits tour. I don't think their 90s albums are necessarily the best, but like Very, when the Russia like Red Square, like Go West video, I feel like I saw that a lot as a child. Or like See It on Top of the Pops with the cone head.
Again, we discussed that one, didn't we?
I think we discussed that at the time. And then I love like Bilingual Now, which is a 96 album, which is sort of Latin tinged. And they've sort of been with me since I was definitely a fan as a teenager and ever since. So possibly them, but I don't know if I could pick a particular album.
Well, that's fine. We'll take that.
Immaculate Collection, Fat of the Land, anything by the Pet Shop Boys. I don't know, I was trying to think who defines the 90s. I was thinking like R.E.M. as well, like they were probably the biggest band in the world for a lot of that time, and I definitely remember them being around. U2, I guess. In America, I guess it was like Mariah, but I don't have that much sort of nostalgic connection to Mariah. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well,
What about Nirvana?
me and Stu are staying out of it for our choices. Or what do we think about your choices?
I don't know. Yeah, what defines the 90s? I mean, I was thinking like Blur was quite a good one because they started sort of early 90s and then I guess Graham left late 90s or early 90s, so they've definitely. I don't know.
I think probably Britpop and Girl Power are the two main things that we say.
Spice Girls crossed my mind as well. How much it was more like my sister that the Spice Girls had the effect on, but them and Steps is the. I definitely remember that a lot because I guess that's when I started being more aware of music, like aside from just seeing Top of the Pops because it was on.
Yeah.
I don't really think I was a proper music fan until maybe into the noughties. I feel like maybe I was a bit of a latecomer. You were there with your Stereophonics and Manics fandom. But I don't think I think I jumped maybe on the Ash bandwagon in about 2001, and that's when I properly started getting into music. I'm waffling.
We will accept Pet Shop Boys as a perfectly.
They had 3 albums in the 90s. They're all excellent.
Yeah.
So check
there we
them
are
out.
then.
Yeah.
Say no more. If you say Voodoo Lounge, we're stopping this recording right now.
Voodoo Lounge. Well, as you know, I think Stones had 2 albums in the 90s: Voodoo Lounge and Bridges.
Bridges to Babylon. Yeah.
But I won't choose those because obviously I'm a big Stones fan, so we'll gloss over that for a while. But obviously, most of the bands that I've chosen, because again, I'm a bit like Joe, I can't really choose one album. But a lot of the bands I've chosen were basically from my era, from the 80s, coming into the 90s. But of course, early 90s, grunge coming on, killed off. Well, I'd say killed off. It certainly dented the hair metal rock scene, though it's still going. Grunge has sort of gone down. But the rock scene is still there. You've got to look for it, but it'll still be there.
I think I said this to you on the last podcast. So I keep reusing, but watching those Top of the Pops repeats, it is amazing because I feel like all the history books tell you that Nirvana just killed any long hair, like hair metal.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of it on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
Extreme.
Def Leppard, Iron Maiden.
They all have a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a lot more complicated than one documentary tells you that Nirvana just finished everyone else off.
Well, even on the Top of the Pops has been on this weekend that we just watched. Doughty feels moved to say, "Oh, this is Iron Maiden, and they're after a new singer now because
song singer,
Bruce Dickinson's just left.
We
didn't know at the time they'd end up with Blaze Bayley.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, of course, in the 90s, Bon Jovi brought out their the best, the last really good albums, Keep the Faith, and These Days. After that, they went very, very easy listening for me. So those 2 albums were really good. Kiss brought out Revenge, of course, which we spoke about. The Revenge tour with the ceiling catching fire, or singed, as I said. Cinderella was still around then, a band I really loved, with Heartbreak Station come out, and these are all like early 90s. Apart from I think Bon Jovi was 95 there.
These Days was 95.
And of course there was a band called Mr. Big, who had a big hit with
again on Top of the Pops a lot recently as we watch it.
Well, the album out called Lean Into It, which I'm not quite sure that single was on. I'm not quite sure if that was on it. So I only had the tape.
I remember because the cover is that train accident, isn't it? Where it's come out of the building and
that's right. Yeah, that's a really, really good album. Green Tin 60s Mind and stuff like that on there. But I think the album that from a band that really appeared in the 90s, so I'll choose this album, was Hootie and the Blowfish. Cracked Rearview Mirror, I think it was called. Every track on there is a winner. As we said before, subsequent albums haven't been that good. I mean, if you want to listen to Hootie and the Blowfish, you go for this album. Every track is absolutely superb. Though I'm saying that, I did listen to Musical Chairs the other week in the car, and a couple of tracks on there weren't too bad. Not as bad as I remember. So,
come on, mate. This is a professional environment.
Sorry.
So for that, I'll choose Hootie and the Blowfish. Really Cracked Rearview Mirror. Sorry, Cracked Rearview. As the album of the 90s, because it was an album of a band that appeared in the 90s, and the album was in the 90s. So
brilliant.
Thought like that. Shout out to, I think possibly the album Stu and I have bonded over the most. Stu and me, is that? Denim, Back in Denim.
Yes.
I watched the Lawrence documentary the other day. It came out on Blu-ray, so I think it's been out for about 10 years. It did the festival stuff ages ago, but I finally watched the doc about Lawrence. So that made me revisit Back in Denim, which is, I guess, like a sort of 70s nostalgia album, very much anti-80s. But that's great. That's amazing. That's a peach. Every song, and that's great.
I remember we had a
I bought
feature.
that for your birthday, I think.
Yes, I've still got it. I've still have it, mate. Still got it. I remember we had a feature when you and I used to make. We did a few podcasts back in the day together, and we had a feature when Shazam was a thing.
Yeah.
Remember this? So
Shazam,
you could play it a song and it would tell you what it
Yeah.
was. And we tried to break Shazam because the claim was any song we'll know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think what we did was we played it the B-side of a Denim single.
The Glitter Band.
Yeah, that had only been given away.
It was like a promo thing. I
to
remember
like fans at a
And
gig or
also,
something.
I totally forgot about that, but you've just reminded me. I think I played like a Compulsion flexi disc. Compulsion is another great 90s band, actually. They did 2 albums, I think, 94 and 96. They are both amazing. So yeah, sorry, I've definitely dominated this.
no, not at all.
Just
Not at
another
all.
one I
without
want to say is about a band called Danger, who I think I saw supporting. It was either Poison or Kiss. Can't remember. I think it might
Was
be
this
Poison.
not the big Bon Jovi day when it was?
No.
Oh no, sorry, that was Poison,
Um,
Crown of Thorns.
No. Crown of Thorns, Thunder,
Thunder, yeah.
Van Halen,
Yeah.
and Bon Jovi. No,
There's another story that came out of that Bon Jovi gig that you forgot to tell us on the day as well, isn't there?
Oh, what? That was at the Milton Keynes.
gig, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get this before we move on, just for
okay.
posterity?
This
Can
is
we
in the
record this?
90s, so as Alex knows, Milton Keynes is a. Have you been to Milton Keynes Bar?
No, but I've heard of it.
But it's all like grass bank.
Yeah.
That's what it is, basically. And I was sat there on my own because nobody else would go with me. So I don't know why it was Bon Jovi. No, maybe that's why.
You're the only person there.
Yeah. But I can remember there was a bloke with 2 girls in front of me. They were sat there having a picnic or whatever. And then whoever had been on Joan Osborne or whatever. Anyway, one of the girls obviously decided to go to the loo or whatever, and went off. Anyway, Bon Jovi come on, she didn't come back. Bon Jovi went on, didn't come back. Anyway. And about near the end of the Bon Jovi gig, all of a sudden she turned up in a floods of tears. And what happened was, she'd gone to the toilet, come out, and didn't know where they were. Couldn't see them. Completely
lost
the geographical
Yeah.
sense of where they were. So she'd been wandering around all the bowl trying to find them, and eventually near the end of the gig, she found them.
Yeah. Oh, blimey.
Yeah. So, there's a lesson for you. Always stick a flag with put a stick in with a flag on the top.
Well, I
so you
suppose
know
in the
where you
age
are.
of a mobile phone, that won't
Yeah,
that won't happen
now.
anymore, would
But
it?
even then, you said, "Where are you? You're waving." There's 15,000 people waving.
Yeah.
So, but
Sorry,
Yeah.
the other album you wanted to mention. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's a-
Danger.
yeah, it was. To me, it's probably one of the last great hair metal albums. It's called Screw It, and it's very un-PC. And it's
Right. Stop it there.
in its songwriting.
Jeff.
He's not here.
In
We need
its,
to get him back.
in its songwriting, but it's glorious, absolutely glorious. And if you could just put that to one side and just listen to it as an album, it's a glorious album, really is. Yeah. Screw It by Danger.
Okay, let's move on to films. Glyn, what was your film of the 90s?
Well, I thought about this question. I don't think I went to the cinema a great deal. I did go and see Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is number 3, I think, isn't it? With
Yeah, that's right.
Jeremy
That's
Irons.
Yeah.
But that's really good. And I probably went and saw the Boston Bond movies. But I don't remember really seeing anything else in the night. I'm sorry. It wasn't really a big thing for me.
Are you a Last Boy Scout fan? I love the Last Boy Scout.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Is
on
that the
video.
one with the American footballer at the
Yeah.
start when he's got the gun in
yeah,
his sock?
Yeah. Oh, wow, that film is
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. But,
I've only ever seen the first 5 minutes of that.
Oh,
It's
you
weird.
should
isn't it?
check that out, it's
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I think so I'm gonna have to pass on the Joe for that because
Okay.
I think it's basically all I would have seen.
You're not going to mention Free Jack at all,
Well, if you want to mention Free Jack, you can mention Free Jack.
but that is going to be
No.
when we do the year that was released. That's going to be one of my movies. That's
I'll probably gloss
Emilio
that over.
Estevez, Winnie Russo, and Mick Jagger.
Okay,
In,
nice.
yeah.
Veil over the. over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
horrendous.
Okay.
Anthony Hopkins, in the same year that he won the Oscar for Silence of the Lambs, was also in Free Jack, and it couldn't be more different. But we'll save that because I can do like 45 minutes on that.
That's all that's good.
Yeah.
Well, mine, I couldn't really decide, and I was trying to think similar to my car and musical act / album questions, like what did I actually like in the 90s, or what had like the biggest effect on me. So it's interesting you mentioned Bond, Glyn, because I think, was it your birthday? I feel like some of us went to see maybe The World Is Not Enough, maybe with James Topping. Was it his birthday?
Oh, possibly. Yeah.
I think I saw that with you at the cinema. That might be my only cinema
Yeah.
experience with you. Maybe Tomorrow Never Dies.
So Tomorrow Never Dies was 97.
Yeah, I mean, we might not be old enough, but I imagine they were 12. The Bond films. Maybe we loved sneaking into a latter Brosnan. Anyway, so mine is similar because it is a PG, even though it's super scary for a PG. Mission Impossible, which is 96. Brian De Palma. Which is the first. That's like, I guess you could say that's the first in like the second phase of Tom Cruise's career. I guess Tom Cruise has spent sort of early to mid 80s to the mid 90s learning to be like the best movie star in the world. Say what you like about him, but he's great at being a movie star. And he's either like a movie star in a film, or he's like second fiddle to one of the greatest actors of all time, like Paul Newman or Dustin Hoffman or whatever. And then I think Mission Impossible was the first film he produced. And anyway, that was a TV show from the 60s that my dad was a big fan of, and I think it got repeated on Channel 4 when I was a kid.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I used to watch that. Obviously, probably the most famous bit of music of all time, if not one of the most famous pieces of music of all time. Yeah. And obviously a great thing for Tom Cruise to do, because aside from the name, I say, was really famous, and obviously the music's really famous, but most people don't know that much about Mission Impossible, so it's quite a good franchise for Tom Cruise to mould to his movie star persona. And yeah, that's something I went to see with my dad and my uncle. Possibly one of the first sort of more adult films I saw at the cinema. I definitely remember seeing some like Disney films and stuff, but that's not really my sort of thing. So I think that's quite a formative cinema experience for me, seeing, because there's some really gruesome stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
I've never seen it.
There's a guy, Emilio Estevez again, actually.
Oh, there we are.
Is like sat on top of a lift, and the lift is going up, and then he gets like squashed with like a spike, and spoilers. It's quite near the beginning. It's an uncredited Emilio Estevez, so I guess Scream style, you think he's going to be like one of the stars, and then he gets killed quite early on in a really gruesome way for a PG film. And even though none of the other Mission Impossible films came out in the 90s, I've very much enjoyed all the others, apart from Mission Impossible 2. But I won't, that's a whole podcast.
I was going to say,
Mission Impossible 2
gloss over the Mission Impossible 2.
All of the others absolutely great, and it's one of my most watched sort of film franchises. Probably
Do you think,
like a good comfort film
do you
to
think
go to.
2 was let down actually by the director, like John Woo?
It is John Woo, who is
because
obviously
all that
great at stuff, but it's a lot of stuff getting released. Someone firing two guns which jump through the air. Whereas, I think interesting fact about the first Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise never fires a gun, which obviously you'd think of an action-style movie. But it's a lot more spy, espionage sort of stuff.
Because one had quite a good ending as well, a bit of a twist at the end, wasn't it?
It's the Channel Tunnel, which I think was new at the time.
Yes, it was,
And
and good action scene, I think a helicopter and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think Tom Cruise hired the biggest fan in the world to emulate him being in the Channel Tunnel, which is quite quaint when you think now what Tom Cruise wants to do is like jump out of a flying plane that's in space or something. He has to like one-up himself every time he's in a film.
Well, he broke his leg, didn't he? One stone.
Broke his leg. The last one was, I think, flying. I've not seen the new Top Gun, but I think he's like flying actual planes and stuff. He has to keep doing that thing. Yeah. So I mean, Tom Cruise. You could do a whole podcast about Tom Cruise, probably.
We should do that. I love
maybe
Tom
we should,
Cruise.
Because I feel like he's really turned it around from the like jumping on the sofa, I love Katie stuff to like people like liking him again. And I think the first Mission Impossible is a very pivotal film in his canon.
Again, I don't know if I'm straying into the 2000s here. Space Jam.
I think that's
96, And the Bone Ash, that's right.
There's nobody else there. And then these 3 girls come in. And decide to sit right behind us. And carry on eating and whatever they were doing, talking
throughout the
all
whole
the way
thing.
through.
Yeah.
But why don't you go in the balcony? You know.
Yeah.
Can't believe you had Space Jam ruined for you.
I know. Greatest movie of the 90s as well.
Yes, that's what he did go to. I do remember that one. Eh?
Have you got any like Titanic memories? Is that the biggest film?
I did go and see. Actually, you're right. I did go and see Titanic. I didn't want to go and see it. That's what I'm saying. Mother wanted to go and see it. Yes, I did see that actually. Yeah, that was 90s, was it? Right, okay.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Seven.
Yeah.
I
I
only
did
watched
see that.
Yeah.
fairly recently.
Yeah.
First time ever, because it's one of my partner's favourite films and I'd never seen it. It is really good, I have to say. I
We're
really
bringing back all
enjoyed it.
bad memories. That,
I remember Kaylee Reid in our
Yeah.
class was obsessed with it and
Do we
watched
need
it
to
like 50
blank out
times.
these names?
Well, yeah, we
Bleep
should
out
probably
the
bleep.
names.
Yeah.
Audio.
I saw an Emery Gate a little while ago. She didn't recognise me, but no, there you go.
Who wouldn't recognise you? You're like the most famous person.
what's famous person in the school?
I don't know about that. Okay, so we'll move on to video games.
Will we gonna have a break? Did you want to get a drink?
Oh yeah, we'll get a drink first, and then we'll do the video games. There'll be a quick edit here,
This
and
is
then
the
we'll.
most ramshackle.
Cheers, Joe.
No
Thanks,
worries.
mate.
Yeah, cheers. We'll give you credit on the on the recording.
Joe's just bought a round, everyone, just so you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get
cheers,
that on
Joe.
mic.
Oh, I've been
No
away.
worries, no, it's,
I've been away.
absolute
And he let me have
pleasure
his
to see you.
stamps as well.
Yeah, I'm not so happy about that part.
What a generous guy.
Right, so let's move on to video games. How about you, Joe? What was your video game of the 90s?
Again, I thought long and hard, thought what did I do in the 90s video game wise. First console I ever had was a PlayStation 1. I was quite late to the console game. Definitely have some formative GoldenEye memories with you, and I don't think I've said this on mic before. Definitely have a memory of, I think maybe the first ever time we played GoldenEye, which is, well, to bring it back to the Mission Impossible film, I feel like everyone thought that the Mission Impossible game was going to be massive, and GoldenEye was going to be rubbish, and then GoldenEye is basically the blueprint for like every first-person shooter since.
We had both of those games, and the Mission Impossible one wasn't
terrible,
very
right?
good, was
Yeah,
it?
I've not played it, but I think it is famously bad. Anyway, yeah, I remember. I think possibly the first time I ever played GoldenEye with you, came to your house and like, let's play GoldenEye. I think I beat you, and you just went and turned the console off. So
we didn't
telling
not heard this.
telling to your dad that you just went and turned the console off
Wow.
the naughty way.
He was very like that when he was a child.
Yeah,
Actually, got it there.
that's good to get that on mic as well.
Oh, I'm sorry, mate. That's
Definitely, that's a memory that stuck with me.
That's very embarrassing. Although I have told the story before about being beaten on European Club Soccer on the Mega Drive by Matt Coe and then throwing a paddy about that as well.
Oh, okay, you've got a
Hey,
history.
whoa.
We wanted ambient noise.
What ambient noise, not stuff being smashed up.
So yeah, I never actually owned GoldenEye, but definitely remember playing it with you. I think we must have played it more than once, so maybe it wasn't the first game, but definitely remember.
Let me just take this opportunity to apologise profusely.
That's fine, we'll hug it out later.
I've now got the console again and GoldenEye again, so if you ever want to come round and we'll address the
maybe we
balance.
should, I'll switch it off and
You can throw it out the window.
Shout out to
Rematch.
Alex Cumming. He, I say recently, quite a few years ago, he picked up an N64 on eBay with GoldenEye. Which I don't know. Has it ever been bettered as a first-person shooter? I mean, technically it probably has, but I feel like, especially people of our generation, GoldenEye is a gold standard. But that's not what I've chosen because I didn't have that myself. What I'm going to say is basically anything off Demo 1 that came with PlayStation. Remember that?
The official demo disc of the pod.
Hercules was great. The Disney Hercules. Having said I'm not a Disney guy, that Hercules demo was good. But I bought the full game of Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, which is amazing. I've played quite a lot of the Abe games since. I'm not much of a gamer, and the idea of like sandbox open world, like go and do anything, really freaks me out. Like I think possibly with you, I probably shouldn't say this in front of your dad. I think we may have played some Grand Theft Auto in the 90s, maybe with Tom Perry if we're shouting people out.
I definitely had it on
the top down.
That's
like 1 and 2, maybe London 69 as well.
Because there was sold out software. You used to do the you could get it for $4.99, and it was like PC. You used to pick them up in Woolworths. And they had the Grand Theft Auto, the original, and then the 1969 London one on the same disc. Both games.
But even now, like my girlfriend will play like Animal Crossing or like The Sims. She's a big Sims guy. And the idea that you can just do anything in a video game freaks me out. Like I want like a side-scrolling 2D platformer where I know exactly what I need to do next. So Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey is amazing, and I have fond memories of playing that a lot. And probably I don't know. I've not completed many games. I definitely get bored trying to play games, and Oddworld is one that I've played a lot of. So yeah, shout out to Abe. Abe's Exodus, I think, was good as well.
Yeah, the sequel. Yeah.
I don't know if that's 90s. I don't even know when Oddworld was.
Oddworld was definitely
Definitely 90s.
If it was on demo 1, then it would
I
have
had a
been,
PlayStation, it must have been. I don't think I had it straight away, so maybe 97, 98, maybe even 99. I don't know. When did you have a PlayStation 1?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I never got a PlayStation 2. Went straight to PlayStation 3. So the PlayStation 1 is definitely Ghost in the Shell. I think is on demo 1.
Yeah.
Definitely, there's a snowboarding game that I don't know if that was a different demo disc, but I definitely
Cool Borders. Was that
I might have to find out on my phone. I don't
1080 maybe.
because I recently there was a song from the demo of a snowboarding.
We've
game
spoken about this.
It was stuck in my head for years, and I recently found it, and I think inadvertently found out what game it's from. So maybe I can tell you later as like a bonus episode or something. So I'll do that while Glyn talks video games maybe.
Well, first of all, I really hope I wasn't that ungenerous in defeat as a child.
Every time.
Not every time, surely. And the other thing,
you like kicking people.
as a lead into this, so we've spoken many. It's passed into legend on this pod when your breaking point with consoles was, and how that came about. But you were such a big gamer in that decade yourself, and then it's just totally dropped off. So
it did. Because we had because obviously I had a Spectrum to begin with, not the original rubber key one, the next one after that, and I've still got my Spectrum. I've got all these tapes up in the attic. They've probably gone mushy by now, but loads of games on tape. Of course, as we said before, you put the tape in, goes all the way to the end of it again, crash. You've got to start all over again, all that weird noise.
Even the magazine was called Crash, wasn't it?
That's right, the magazine was called Crash. But you can still look online, they've still got issues online, and you can look at the games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if we go into the 90s, we had the Nintendo, was it, 90s?
Yeah, 64.
Right. So we're going to put James Bond, GoldenEye to aside because nothing's going to beat that anyway.
Everyone loved it.
Did
Did you not go like SNES or NES or anything?
No. Well, we had the Mega Drive, and then we went straight to
we got Sega Saturn.
Sega Saturn, the much maligned,
Sega Saturn,
which we still have. Still
there.
One of my uncles that had the MX5 had a Dreamcast, which was great. I feel like discerning gamers were like, the Dreamcast's better, but everyone else had got a PlayStation. But there was some good stuff on the Dreamcast.
Yeah. But the game I remember a lot, apart from that, was Top Gear Rally.
Yeah, Top Gear Rally on the N64.
That was really, really good. That was a good game. You had those secret shortcuts and all this sort of thing you could you go through. And I do remember the Mission Impossible. I didn't mind that so much. Actually, I didn't think I think exploding chewing gum and all this sort of thing, and stuff like that.
I remember there's like a face changer thing.
That's right.
You put it on and it change the face of the character.
Yeah, I didn't think it was so bad. I think you're maligning it too much there, but there you go. But
I've not played it. I thought it was famously or infamously bad, but I don't know anything about it. I can picture the cover on PlayStation 1, like those square covers.
What other games do we have for the Nintendo? We had the other racing game.
MRC,
MRC
multi racing championship. Yeah.
We didn't have that many, because they were quite expensive, weren't
they?
They
were. Yeah. Well, obviously, Diddy Kong was a big
Diddy
one.
Kong, which I got for you without the instructions and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was easy to pick up, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
It was definitely a bonus if you got instructions.
But it was easy to pick up. I think I bought. It might have been for the PlayStation 1. I think I bought Risk.
Risk, as in the board game Risk.
Without instructions.
Christ almighty.
So I never played it in the end because I couldn't work out what you had to do.
Would it have been the 90s when we I mean, this podcast is just disappearing up its own ass, surely, right? Because we're just talking about what we did. Would it have been the 90s when we played Gran Turismo? I definitely remember playing that.
Oh yeah.
Well, the first one came out
in 96.
or was it?
Or 97.
Was it the
Gran Turismo 2 was the with the two discs and
you robbed it and one smelled like burning rubber.
Yeah, that's right.
I definitely remember you said we should do a race with the 2 slowest cars.
Yes,
in the
we
game.
did.
I think
We
it was
did.
like I want to say, I don't even know if you.
It was a Fiat 500,
Daihatsu.
and then it was like a Daihatsu like little van thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone always does the slowest cars,
Yeah.
and you play it with someone like a mate who never played it before, and you'd be like, oh, you choose whatever you want. I'm gonna just be in a Mini or like a Demio or whatever, the slowest car, and then you beat them because the handling on Gran Turismo was so much more complex than any other game. You know, you actually had to be quite good, so you'd always be like, oh no, you be the fastest car, and we'll see what happens, and then you'd always win because they were just spinning round in donuts, the start finish straight. Can't get.
Well, I remember we had the I can't remember who got hold of them for us, but somebody actually got hold of some like memory cards for us, which had like with the completed game on it and like loads of money on there,
That
so
rings
we
a bell.
could
We would,
buy
like, go crazy,
whatever
yeah.
cars we want. And the fastest car in the game was like a Pikes Peak hill climb
Yeah,
thing, which had like 1,000 horsepower,
the Suzuki,
and we'd race that against the Fiat 500. But no, that's definitely back end of the 90s. That's
I would
definitely
have thought so.
yeah.
And the touring cars.
Yeah, the
Game for
Toka,
PlayStation,
yeah,
Toka
Toka
Yeah.
touring
Love
cars.
that
I
game.
definitely remember you being
Yeah.
a Toka
Yeah,
guy.
Yeah.
love that game.
Also,
Great.
not something I did in the 90s, but a shout out to Jake Davies Robertson. We did a road trip to Cornwall. Some of our friends were holidaying there for like a week or something, and we went for a few days. And we took, I think, a copy of the Wipeout 97 game,
Yeah.
because if you put a PlayStation game in a CD player, it would play the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So we listened to the Wipeout soundtrack, pretending we were like in a spaceship, even though we were like, I mean, this probably was quite a few years ago. We were possibly teenagers.
I think he had a Mark II Polo at the time.
We
so
were
that would have
probably
been.
in a 90s car, listening to like Underworld and the Prodigy on the. Because the Wipeout soundtracks are amazing. I feel like that's a lot of people's introduction to like Underworld, Daft Punk.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, possibly my introduction to Daft Punk actually. Also, if for the bonus episode that I mentioned earlier, that game was MTV Sports Snowboarding. The song was Disconnected by Face to Face. I found that in a conversation on WhatsApp with Stu.
There we
We
go.
were discussing
There we
that
go.
fairly recently. Stu thought it was 1080 snowboarding, but
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was MTV Sports.
There we go. Wrong again. Okay, TV series. Glyn.
Oh,
TV series is of the 90s.
right.
And there was one we were talking about off air before we came on, which I know you were a big fan of.
Birds of
which,
a
which
Feather.
I think,
What was that?
which I think we'll need to mention. We've spoken about it on our Forgotten TV of the 90s, but Due South surely has to have a mention.
yeah.
I'd
Oh,
forgotten it until
Yeah.
Ben mentioned it earlier.
I think when it first came on, I loved it. But as with a lot of these shows, they do tend to drag on a little while. It's really good, and then it loses its mojo. You know, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it, but it's one of these things where after the third series, you sort of start thinking you're going over basically the same sort of thing. You know. So, but I did enjoy it. I prefer stuff that we'll do a couple of series, finish.
Yeah.
Don't drag on like now. You've got things like you ever watched The Blacklist?
I have
You ever
not
seen
James
The Blacklist?
Spader.
Right, James Spader. That's all.
It's supposed to
You
be
know,
great.
And beginning it was brilliant. Goes on too long. Blind Spot, another one, Blind Spot. Again, went on too long. You know, this is all now.
Yeah.
So I prefer things that are like got short shelf life. Short shelf life. You know, and I
Well
like
done.
things like, and it wasn't in the 90s. Originally, Grant, the Scarlet Pimpernel. Only ran for about 6 episodes. You know, did it what I had to do. Started, middle, end,
Yeah.
finish. That's what sort of thing I really like. So the Scarlet Pimpernel was, I think, late 90s. So that's what that's what I would go for. You know.
I can't believe you haven't gone for Crime Traveller with Michael
Well,
French.
I've actually got that on
Chloe
DVD.
Annette. I remember that.
Yeah.
But again, it's a very short
Yeah.
thing, and
One and done.
yeah, mind you, because it was crap. That's why they built it. But you know, it's what it was, and that, that was that's what I prefer.
I forgot about Crime Traveller.
Like in CSI,
Yeah.
great first series, and then season
I don't know,
5,
90s.
season 10.
See, this is the thing. You wouldn't have got that in the 90s.
No, I don't think you did. Not really.
Not really. Apart from Due South.
You know. But yeah.
I guess that's
probably.
the American thing that like syndication make for 2 episodes or whatever, so you can syndicate.
While we're back on Due South, just briefly, message for Big Tim, correspondent of the pod. The last disc in the Due South DVD box set is missing. That you borrowed to me. So if you could see your way to finding that and letting me know when you've got it.
It's in your DVD player, Tim. You made the classic mistake.
Yeah.
You left it in your DVD player.
So if you could see your way clear, I'd be very appreciative.
I was thinking the podcast was disappearing up its own ass about the GTA chat, but you've gone really deep with
we were using it as a way of just talking to our friends.
Yeah, without making any extra effort.
Talking about DVD players, your Auntie Pam's DVD got stuck in a DVD player last night.
Did it?
She rang me up and asked how could she get it out.
We're definitely cutting this.
I said, switch it all off, switch it on again, it'll come out. They did. So there you go.
Such a 90s technical issue, isn't it? That DVD stuck in. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I couldn't think of stuff. Well, actually, I might come on to it later. Actually, stuff that I actually enjoyed because I was quite a young child throughout most of the 90s. But the thing I've picked is probably from the mid to late 90s, the Adam and Joe show. I don't know if you guys are fans, because it's something that it was almost, I don't know if you've had this with anything, it was like mythical to me, because if you don't see something on TV and you didn't record it onto a video, you'd never potentially see it again. Yeah. So this is something that my dad liked, and my aforementioned uncles, like my dad's brothers, so I'd hear them talking about it at family parties, and I think my dad had so Adam and Joe used to do toy movies, which is they would recreate famous films with either Star Wars toys or fluffy toys. And my dad had the Adam and Joe toy movie special recorded off TV. So that was, I think, my only exposure to Adam and Joe. He might have had one random episode videoed off TV, but I definitely remember my dad talking about it. So I was a big Star Wars kid. Definitely have a very vivid memory of my dad borrowing the Star Wars films on video. Obviously the 3 70s and 80s ones at the time were the only ones. Borrowing them off a friend on video, and we made a big deal of it on a Sunday. He showed Star Wars to me and my sister. So I was a big Star Wars kid, and then hearing that there's guys that have made a TV show where they're basically playing with Star Wars toys. And I've made friends based on my love of, or my knowledge of the Adam and Joe show without really seeing that much of it. Boyd, do you remember Boyd?
Yeah.
Coming, I think I mentioned earlier. I think they had one episode videoed off TV, which might have been from the year 2000, possibly late 90s. And yeah, making friends with them in secondary school. And then it's weird now that you can just watch that on various streaming services. It's on the World of Wonder streaming service, it's on the Channel 4 streaming service, so I've seen them all countless times since. But they're two guys that I've followed their careers since, and I've seen Adam live a few times. Adam Buxton's walked past me a few times, so when I've been queuing for his gigs. Watched Joe's films at the cinema. So yeah, it's amazing that these guys are. And I feel like that was quite a big thing in the 90s, the Kevin Smith, Clerks thing, that sort of, I don't know what you call it, but that indie attitude to I've grown up loving Star Wars, let's just make TV or make a film, and Adam and Joe just making a show in their Brixton flat or basement or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, that's had a big effect on me, and I still love those guys now, and I'll seek out anything that they do now. And it's from the 90s. I think that's me. That's my answer for that one.
Right, let's move on to wild cards.
I don't know what you're talking about here. What's this got to do with
something? Yeah, you said.
Yeah, something that hasn't been covered in any of the other topics from the decade. That is precious to you.
Right, from the 90s.
Yes, that's the remake of the podcast.
To you is the Two Pigs in Caution.
Right.
Fine establishment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's closed now.
Just say it quietly because we are in it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's gone now, so you're not going to lose any customers. Probably its heyday was the 90s. I started going. I think I went up there before. Then started going back up there again. Bands every Monday night. Place was heaving. As Stu will know, we always used to stand by the pillar to watch the bands.
Yeah.
Okay. And we used to get there early, get our spot,
yeah.
And you always get some big person,
family
stood
friendly.
right in front
Yep.
of you when the band come on. And you said, "Can't you see I'm here?"
Yeah.
You know, type of thing. But that was such a wonderful place, and funny enough, I saw Dickie tonight on when I was coming over. They still live there. It's obviously turned back into a house now. But that's something as Joe was saying, shaped. Probably, pub shaped your life, but it was basically like a home from home. You know, I did go up there a lot. I hate to say I'm not an alcoholic or anything, but I enjoyed the company, the people up there. Apart from, can't mention any names.
No. That's no.
Probably two people
no,
actually. But
no pack drill. No names, no pack drill.
Yeah. But apart from that, it was wonderful. The barmaids were great. Dickie and Anne were great. The band was great. The beer was good. Swill, all the time, and I just loved the place. And that was, like I say, in the 90s, home from home, in the 90s, and I'll never forget it. And I'm so sad it's not there anymore. Yeah, that's my thing
Oh,
from the
lovely.
90s, my wild card.
Yeah, very nice indeed.
Very nice, yeah.
Let's carry on.
Let's not get bogged down too much.
Okay.
So. Go on then, Joe. What have we got?
So my wild card, that is basically how the 90s shaped me, so I don't know how you want to edit around this. Because I nearly chose this for TV series, but it's not a particular TV series, it's basically just cartoons. Because, especially in the early 90s, when I was growing up, that I'm talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I think is from the 80s, but ran through the 90s. I don't know if anyone here is a fan of the Batman cartoon from the early 90s, the Batman the Animated Series.
Can't say
Okay, I've misjudged my market. As soon as I saw the question that Stu texted me yesterday, I don't want to lay into Stu all night. That light just started flashing, was that a bit loud? So I haven't really had that much time to prepare. But as soon as I saw the question, how did the 90s shape you? I think the only thing is watching cartoons as a child, which I don't think I've ever really grown up from that. I still really love superhero stuff now. We've been talking about James Bond and Mission Impossible, which I still really like now. I feel like if I put the amount of knowledge that I have about superheroes into lore or something, I'd probably be much more successful than I am now. But yeah, I basically just know stuff about the Batman cartoon that I haven't seen for 20 years or something. So that's my wild card. Just there's a great X-Men cartoon as well. I've definitely misjudged my audience. I think we mentioned Matthew Coe earlier. Didn't we?
Yeah, Matt.
I definitely remember watching the X-Men cartoon with him in the 90s. And yeah, for some reason, I don't know why, I've never grown up. I still love superhero films now. I see their flaws. I don't think Stu's a big superhero guy. So
No, I'm afraid not. Sorry.
Too much.
No.
But yeah, I still love that stuff now. And I think and also you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm quite nice. I don't think I've ever done anything particularly bad.
You're a good guy, mate.
I'm saying this when there's a pint of beer sat in front of me, but I've never been a massive drinker. Never really done drugs. I say really. I've never done drugs. I've never really smoked properly. I've never done any drugs. I'll say that on mic. And I'd like to think I've kind of got I've got an what's the word? Right and wrong. I feel like I've never really done anything bad.
Moral compass.
I think I've got a good moral compass, and I'd like to think that's from watching superhero stuff as a young child. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film from 1990? Can you tell me from Top of the Pops?
Oh,
yes.
Turtle Power?
Yes.
Yeah.
90.
My
First
introduction-
film was nice because it came up in our film.
Yes, it did, yeah.
My introduction to hip hop as well, probably TURTLE
Oh, yeah.
Power. But yeah, that film I had videoed off TV. So whenever that would have been first on TV in the early 90s, I used to watch that over. That's the first thing I sort of remember watching, as a toddler, over and over again. I'd watch that film, even though it's probably not that great by today's standards. I still like it now. So yeah, just like superheroes and stuff is my sort of wild card that I wanted to mention. And that I think has also shaped the person I am today. So that's two questions
That's a
for the price
twofer.
of one.
Yeah.
Twofer.
Well, we appreciate the
Lovely.
efficiency of, in terms of
Yeah.
editing.
We've all got places to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So there's one last question. Have we already answered your what would you most like to bring back?
Yes.
Glyn's had 2 hours on 2 bits.
That was yeah. So I've done two things with one question as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
The pigs would be my number one.
So you've done your wild card, and
Yeah.
what would you bring back?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I suppose the only other thing is, how do you think the 1990s shaped the person that you are
I'm
today?
not quite sure really
Aside
shaped
from
me.
having a selfish video gaming son.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
I used
Yeah.
to like throw paddies, little tantrums.
I'm so glad we've got
Yeah.
that on mic, audio evidence, audio
Christ,
testimony.
I don't think the 90s really shaped me.
Invite you
obviously,
here, you know.
Obviously, I'm a more 80s child in a sense. That's why I did my informative growing up, music, films, or whatever. Mostly, I would say music, mostly because we didn't have the internet in the 80s. You just went go see bands and whistle thing, and obviously I got into heavy metal and all that sort of thing. So I don't think really the 90s really shaped me. Again, I'd have to say almost like the two pigs in a sense. Shaped my.
Yeah. We're going to get thrown out of
was-
here in a minute.
It
Podcast
was-
is sponsored by
It was, yeah, we could do actually.
full disclosure.
It was just a happy place to be in, and
Don't try and go there, though.
You know, there's not gonna
There's no Marmite on toast there.
Yeah,
No,
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 no.
not
Okay,
that.
welcome
But,
with a bacon sandwich.
yeah, like I said, the 90s they didn't shake me in any way. But apart from, obviously, 1990, you were coming up to 2,
Yeah.
right? So I was learning to be a parent. You know, never done it before. I never
Still
done it
fucking
since.
doing it, if you ask me.
Never done it since. So that, you know, being a parent shaped me. You had to like, you know, you got this little bundle you didn't know what to do with. You know, really.
Not a bundle of joy, just a bundle.
Yeah.
Just a bundle.
Drop,
You know,
drop a beer
the-
can on his
that-
head, see what happens.
That's right. Well, we won't go over that.
No.
Mind you, it's nice shampoo, wasn't it? A bit of shampoo you had that night.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Obviously, you know.
I didn't know Skoll did shampoo, but there you
I
go.
think it was 6X actually.
Really? Oh, that's right then. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those first early years of the 90s was learn to be a parent. Then the late 90s was football.
I suppose so. Yeah.
We started going to see Box Rovers
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah.
Then obviously Nobby went to Nobby Bush is my boss and also manager of Box Rovers, and then he went to Calm Town, which he spent many a happy night.
Yeah.
Night games.
Yeah.
You used to sit in the dugout with the players.
Yeah.
You know, I think you got ordered off the pitch once by the referee for coming out to celebrate a goal.
Well, only because Woodsy had scored, and Woodsy never used.
That's right.
Woodsy would
And
never
Woodsy
score.
was your favourite player.
So
wasn't he?
yeah, so we all ran on. And then,
Yeah, but they were
yeah.
really good with you. They used to sit in the dugout and always
Yeah,
with
put
them.
up with me. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
really good. So that's what I remember from the 90s.
Yeah, lovely.
That's
Lovely
brilliant, mate.
stuff.
Thank you. So the only last question, I suppose, on the menu.
Can I just say, so I must mention, it wasn't just me being a parent, it was also your mother who took most of the burden on it.
Okay.
So and she was really good. She brought you up as a good boy.
I will happily say that we did talk a lot about Gina off mic.
We did, yeah, that's true.
But also, I think my first ever Viennetta experience might have been at your house
Ah.
in the 90s because, and hopefully I'm not going to embarrass Glyn by saying this, but I think you only had desserts if you had people around.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
listen, that's
So-
still the case now.
yeah, the only time a Viennetta comes
Yeah.
We're
out.
looking to get a bloody yogurt.
Yeah,
I tell you.
so I don't know, maybe that's why you invited me around, because you wanted the Viennetta more than you wanted to play like
Probably.
GoldenEye with
Let's
me.
turn that off now and,
Yeah.
and go and get the ice cream.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't sour grapes at all. It was. Yeah.
You used to
Let's
get
get
those
on
as
the-
well.
let's get the- no, many happy memories. With you.
Bro.
Well, you might have to edit this in earlier because this is definitely ending on a whimper instead of a bang.
Oh,
That's
Yeah,
bit.
that's
The-
how we do things.
The
over
thing from the 1990s that I most want to bring back, I really thought about this and I couldn't really think of anything. So I've written.
Two pigs.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because Glyn's done such an emotional one-man show about the two pigs. My only note, and I mean, I'm sat next to Glyn so you can prove it, I've written different types of polos. Do you remember polo holes?
Yeah,
Yeah, that came in a
Like
plastic
a big
polo.
white polo.
And
Yeah.
they'd be, yeah.
Did we do this on the Instagram
I
the
did
other
this on
day?
Instagram
Oh,
recently.
man, okay,
So this is
so
perfect.
you've
No,
already-
no.
okay.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
remember fruit polos? They
Yeah,
were
the
great.
fruit
Yeah.
polos, yeah.
Citrus polos.
Yeah.
Mini
German
polos,
tornadoes.
do you remember them? There was like they
Oh,
made
yeah.
tiny polos. I
Did
don't
they-
know how they came. I think maybe in like a sort of Dalek shaped, but I might be thinking of the Solero balls.
Yeah,
possibly.
which is possibly another 90s thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't even checked. Polo might do different types of polos now, but I remember my dad, I don't know if he ever did it, but my dad's a big like model guy, like Airfix and stuff, but he said he wanted to buy enough of the plastic giant polos full of polo holes, and then he wanted to make a whole tube of polos, but like massive out of plastic polos, make a giant paper polo wrapper, and use a whole roll of tinfoil. I don't know if he ever did it. So yeah, I remember my dad having a lot of these plastic polos for the polo holes.
Just constantly with a mouth full of
polo. His breath must have been so great in the 90s because he really wanted to follow through with this giant polo tube thing. And yeah, I'm a big fruit polo guy. Did you say lemon? I think there was
citrus polos. Yeah, because they were on the. Again, we put them on the Insta post.
Yeah.
I definitely remember those. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a glib thing, but yeah, I just remember polos. Great, nice. And they really tried to expand the brand.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Because I asked this on the Instagram because I couldn't find any evidence of it. But do you remember fizzy polos? I thought they were like sort of refresher, Love Mark style.
I don't know. I probably would have had them.
It must be the citrus ones then.
Do you remember that I was like a dealer of Wonkalet? But again, that would have been the naughties because I don't know what cheapy shop my dad was going to. Yeah, fornication all over it. I looked up because the first thing that sprung to mind was Wonkalet, which was this amazing purple, white chocolate, full of green nerds. I don't know what the flavours were.
Raspberry flavoured chocolate.
Raspberry chocolate
green nerds.
with green nerds, whatever flavour that is.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much brings part one to a close.
It does, yeah.
So thank you for joining us for that, chaps. Very much appreciated. Yeah. So we'll have another little break here, and then we'll go for it. Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed that rattle through Joe and Glyn's high points of the 90s. We've retained Glyn. We've released Joe from his podcasting duties because he's off to see Duran Duran tomorrow night in Hyde Park.
Oh, lovely.
And I just dropped the dice, and he needs to get an early night. So it's the three of us, and for the second part of the show, we're going to be playing the Question of Sport Premiere board game.
From 1990...
This is from 1996, I believe. And I picked this up on eBay a few weeks back because it was something that I had as a Christmas present from a relative in the 90s, and I remember playing this a lot. And then when it came up, I thought, what better content for the pod, for the summer party, for us to have a go at this classic 90s board game. So all the questions are accurate up to and including 1996. So hopefully that won't impair us too much. So we're all playing. We'll all act as quiz masters for each other. Quite simply, first person to the end wins. Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's ask ourselves some 1996 sports quiz questions.
I'm a bit worried that if you lose or start to lose, you might turn the table over.
Well, exactly. I'll flip the board over and or just quietly
yourself.
Just quietly fold everything away and then
just walk out of the pub.
Yeah. As Glyn's our guest, I'll give him.
Okay. 2.
It's a 2. Okay. Now Glyn's blue, so
blue.
Yeah. Oh, he's landed on miss one turn. That's a shame.
Oh, what a shame.
All right. Away cricket. Which English Test ground did West Indies bowler Lance Gibbs take most of his English wickets on?
Oh, good question.
So essentially, name an English Test cricket ground.
Well, it's got to be Edgbaston, isn't it?
Sorry, mate. It was Old Trafford.
Oh.
Okay. This is athletics.
Yeah. Athletics.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Which organisation does the 1994 Commonwealth 1500 metres champion Kelly Holmes work for?
Oh, British Army.
Correct. She's British Army.
Very good. First correct answer.
All right, first correct answer. Okay, so that's 1 point for Glyn. We'll try and keep track.
Oh, I
and
see.
then when we get to the end, we'll see who's got the most points.
1 point. I'll remember that.
Yeah, no worries.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's a 1 minute round on football.
1 minute round.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Football.
Right, I'll take this. Name 5 of the 12 clubs present at the 1888 inaugural meeting of the Football League in Manchester.
Blimey. Sheffield United.
No.
Port Vale.
No.
How many guesses do I get for it?
Oh, no, just keep guessing. Just keep guessing. These clubs all still exist in there.
God, who's old? I can't think of any clubs now. Man United.
Nope.
Liverpool.
No.
I said that. Plymouth Argyle.
Nope.
Cardiff City.
Nope.
Birmingham City.
No.
QPR.
Nope.
Charlton Athletic.
Nope.
Chelsea.
No.
This is hard. Sheffield Wednesday.
Nope.
Hull City.
Nope. I'll have a 1 minute round on football as well.
Name the 6 Man United managers since Matt Busby, 1969 up to 1996.
Okay. Wilf McGuinness.
Yep.
Franco Farrell.
Yes.
Dave Sexton.
Yes.
Tommy Docherty.
Yes.
Alex Ferguson.
Yes.
Well, that's 5. Who am I missing? Early 80s. Oh, Ron Atkinson.
Correct.
Ah, okay. That's a
very-
point on the board for me.
Well done.
Very impressive. Okay. I'm going to go 1 minute.
1 minute round on rugby.
This is disastrous.
Okay. Name 5 Harry Sunderland Trophy winners between 1987 and 1995. Start the clock.
Are they people or teams?
They are people.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Jeremy Guscott.
No,
Will Carlin.
no.
I don't know them.
Away on equestrian. Okay, ask me a question. Number 6, please.
Who is the only one-day event winner? Hey? Who is the only one-day event winner of the badminton horse trial?
So, right. Okay.
Who was the only?
Well,
right. Okay. Who was the only one-day event winner of the badminton horse trial? Horse. Right. What I mean is, it's 3 events,
Right,
but they only did one
right.
because the weather was so bad
Oh, right, okay.
in
Right,
1969.
okay.
That's what he
In
meant.
1969. Okay.
No. Sorry,
Well,
in
you just-
1963 actually was.
Oh, 63. You know this.
Yeah,
Jesus
come on.
Christ.
I'll tell you. I'll give you.
No, listen, I'll just guess, because
Alright.
it's Harvey Smith.
No.
If anybody's still listening to this at this point, I mean, blimey, we got some die-hard subscribers. Alex is on the yellow.
I can't do this. God's sake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No. Not Jason Leonard. Because he was a. Well, he might have been a fault. Jason Leonard.
Correct.
Oh,
Ah, 1 point.
1 point.
right.
4-2-0. Okay. Who was the last Scot to win the British Open on a Scottish golf course? And I can give you a clue.
Yeah.
It was in 1931. Oh, I got cricket again.
Yeah.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Hey.
Thank you for that.
We need to get him on the board. Come on, it's a friendly game. It's a friendly
No,
game.
it's not. Oh.
I don't want anything that's away, really.
Yeah, but you got football on away, so.
Yeah, but you just had 70s Argentinians.
Fine, I'm away.
It's away.
All away.
I don't care. I don't care.
Sit down. You're getting
Right.
Okay, Alex to throw. Everybody at the top end of the board.
Let's get some
Yeah.
bloody points. It's ridiculous. Which Georgian club did the league and cup double in 1993?
Georgian.
You could end it if you wanted to, or you could.
Is it me?
Shoot.
Oh, yeah, it's me.
Yeah, you just roll the f***ing dice. Of course it's you.
Hey. 3. Where
Three.
am I? Oh,
You're
dear.
blue, so you can go.
Oh. Oh.
No, that's it. Forget it. Well, how did we all find that? Was that a worthwhile experience?
Challenging.
Ordeal by trial of fire. I think.
Well, that brings to an end our podcast summer party. We've been
Yeah.
talking about it for a long time. We've finally done it. Any final thoughts, anyone?
I enjoyed the first bit. First bit was great.
I got a feeling the first bit might be the only bit that we use. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, away an hour, didn't it? So, yeah.
I'm just happy to be in a pub in provincial Wiltshire with the two Joslins, or two of the Joslins, and drinking some best bitter, and just whiling away the hours. So it's a success as far as I'm concerned.
Well done.
Well, thank you for listening, and until next time we come across the airways, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Should have got 90s pop.
Okay. Yeah, should have. Yeah. Well, learn that for next time.
Yeah.